Isn't it amazing that you can go to a foreign country and stick a piece of plastic in a wall and cash will come out? You take the same card to a stranger who doesn't even speak your language, and he'll rent you a car for a week. And when you get home, MasterCard will have the accounting to the penny. But the government can't even count the votes in Florida. Yet the teachers say the education of the children has to be left to this government monopoly. Well, I argue that the market would do it better. It took me 20 years of the work that's in the myth book to see that, but it is clearly so true. I mean, think of the monopolies that we've had to live with. Think of the old phone monopoly. We now forget that all the phones were black, all the calls were expensive. It was illegal to plug in a phone answering machine. They called it a foreign device. Only through deregulation do we get all the choices that we have now. Think of the post office. The post office said we can't get it there overnight. It's not possible. Well, they had all kinds of reasons why it wasn't possible. And then they got competition. FedEx, UPS, others got it there overnight. Now even the post office does it sometimes. Competition inspires us to do things we didn't think we possibly could do, and do it for less money. So why not harness that to teach the kids? Now people say, well, a choice is scary. Some kids will be left behind. My kid's school's fine. And it's true, in the surveys, most Americans say the public school system isn't very good, but their kid's school is good. Now part of this because they don't know what they could have had. One part is that the school may be conning them and saying, oh yes, he's making progress and test results are fine, but they keep changing the baseline. So the best tests are the international tests, where American students are compared to kids from 41 other countries. And what's so interesting about these tests is that American kids do pretty well in the 4th grade. But the longer they are in American schools, the worse they do, the more they fall behind. And by 12th grade, they're way behind countries that spend much less on education, much less developed countries than America.
Publicly financing something does not imply that it has to be publicly produced. That is, there are two separate things: the public financing, government financing of something, and government producing of something. That is, government finances F-15s, but there's no government F-15 factory, and I'd be worried about our military security if there were one. Now, so if we decide to publicly finance schools, well, why not give the money to the parents in the form of a voucher and let the parents choose? Let them have a say-so in their kids' education. See, right now, public schools, the teachers get paid and the administrators get paid whether the kids can read or write or not. And so where's the incentive? And I think that there's considerable evidence that shows that the kids in non-government schools tend to have higher levels of achievement than the kids in the government schools. So I think that one of the best things we can do is to get the government out of the production of education.
We, for a program I did called Stupid in America, I wanted to call it education, but my boss said, you know, we have competition here. We have to get people to watch. 2020's off the air if people don't watch. We can't. People won't tune in for education. We'll call it stupid. And I resisted because I didn't want to imply I was calling the teachers stupid or the students stupid, but it clearly is stupid to have a government monopoly teach the kids, so I was comfortable with the title. And for part of that, we gave part of the international test to students in Belgium and students in New Jersey. And we didn't cherry pick. We picked an above average school in New Jersey, and New Jersey scores above average for America. But the Belgian kids cleaned the New Jersey kids' clocks. They got 70% correct versus 40% for the New Jersey kids. One Belgian kid said, the test was so easy, I think that if the kids in America couldn't do this, they're really stupid. A girl in New Jersey said, "I don't think we're stupid. It must be the schools." It is. The people who run the international tests and who have documented that countries like Poland, much less developed, do better, say the biggest determinant of what makes a school system work well are two things. One, autonomy for the school. If the school is free to try things, doesn't have its hands tied by a lot of centralized rules, they do better. And above all, the second point, if the customers, the parents and the kids have choice, if the money is attached to the kid, so the child can take that money, the state money, to any school, a government school, a secular school, religious school, public school, private school, any school, that causes the competition that makes everybody better. We interviewed the principal of a school in Belgium who said, "Yeah, competition is very difficult. If we don't offer them what they want for their child, they won't come to our school. We have to work hard day after day. Otherwise, you run out of business. You can't afford 10 teachers that don't do their work, because our clients will know and they won't come to you again." But in America, no school is ever closed. The clients are the kids. The parents and the kids are trapped. Which brings us to some of the myths. The format of this book is myth and truth. One myth is the public schools are underfunded, and that's all we hear in America. If they only had more money to spend. But they're spending 3 times the amount that they spent when I went to school, adjusted for inflation. It's tripled, and the test scores are flat. We're now spending about $10,000 per student. In Washington, it's $14,000. But just take the $10,000 average for America. Do the math. That's 25 kids in a classroom, $250,000 per classroom. And that's not the capital expenditures, that's the operating cost. Think what you could do for $250,000. You could hire 3 great teachers. It's not about the money. We found schools that charge much less, but do a wonderful job. We shot schools that charge $3,000, one in South Carolina, where the state average is $8,000. The kids were excited about learning. When we came in to shoot, they were jumping up and down, saying, "Can we do relay math? Can we play bingo? Can we play phonics around the world?" This woman, who had been disgusted by the government monopoly where she was, started her own school, and she was helping these kids learn for less than half the money when the government schools hadn't been able to do that. Another myth, teachers are underpaid. Everybody says that. My answer to that is, under what? What does that mean in a free society? In a free society, if a profession is underpaid, nobody wants to apply for it. But in America, you have 5 to 10 applicants for every teaching job. 10-to-1 ratios, 5-to-1 ratios. Teaching isn't underpaid. It's a joyous job. You get to help children. Lots of people want to do that. Plus, teachers make above $7,000 more than the average wage in America. And don't forget, they got a lot of time off. They get the summers off. So the government says if you do an hour-by-hour comparison, teachers make more than chemists, psychologists, registered nurses, computer programmers. Of course, if they had choice, the good teachers would make much more. If we're spending $250,000 per classroom, or in Washington, $300,000 per classroom, good teachers would be making $200,000 if parents had a choice, if you had a market.
You need to be able to fire teachers who aren't teaching. You need to be able to have competing schools nowadays because it'll take you forever to be able to fire the teachers. So that you'll give them an incentive to start teaching again instead of playing games in the schools. In the schools, as in the colleges, it is a lot easier not to teach. I mean, I'm always amazed at all the activities and projects they have in the schools, all the while. And I'm looking at the international comparison. The American students are way down at or near the bottom in these international tests. Why are we spending so much time, hugging trees and doing other such stuff like that when our kids can't read?